the day bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Welcome to the Rated G for Gamers podcast, episode 368. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G Network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Rated G for Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
What's going on, man? Wait, are we threading? Is that what it's called? So you got tweeting.
Yep.
Are we now threading?
Kind of. I mean, yes. Okay. If that's the verb that describes using Meta or Facebook's new answer to Twitter, then yes, we are threading now. Although we haven't actually
destroyed MySpace.
We haven't actually posted a thread yet, so
we're not threading. But
well,
we can thread.
I mean, we are definitely on Threads. Please go and follow us at Rated G for Gamers. It was a very easy process to do. I think it was worthwhile. Essentially, you just link your Instagram account to Threads. There's a little link that says, "Do you want to sign up for a Thread account?" And boom, bim, boom, bam, Bob's your uncle, and you can import all your contacts from Instagram, which is awesome. We've already been getting people following us, which is awesome. Thank you. Welcome to the Rated G Network. So
I just want to say, his name is Jerome. Jerome's my uncle, not Bob.
Okay. And Jerome's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle. You keep saying that.
Yeah, Bob's your uncle. It's a what they call a turn of phrase or a colloquialism, Dan. And Bob's your uncle.
I'm like, no, maybe he's your uncle, but Jerome is my uncle.
Bob is definitely not my uncle. Bob is a character in Tekken 6. All right. And Slim Bob, the slim version of Bob, is a character in Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
Bob's Burgers is a cartoon that comes on Fox.
Bob's Burger is also a cartoon. I don't know if Bob is an uncle though in that show.
I don't know if he's uncle.
I don't think he's an uncle. He's got in-laws. I know that. He's got a bunch of kids. I don't know if he has any brothers or sisters that have kids. I don't think so. I should know this.
All right, so I just want to tell you, I've been watching The Witcher. Witcher Part 1 is like 5 or 6 episodes. And then I think the next 5 or 6 episodes come out like in like next month or so.
Wait, Part 1 of season 3.
Part 1 of season 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you gotta be clarifying because I've only seen part of season 1, so I'm still way behind.
So Netflix does it differently. Like it's like Disney Plus been watching Secret Invasion, which I'll talk about in a second.
Okay.
They come out once a week, like just like a TV show.
Yep.
Netflix, instead of putting out all the episodes, they like to create hype. So they'll put out like half the season now, and then next month the other half, so you can binge watch it.
Do you like the all at once or the season breaking up model versus the week to week thing? What's your preference? Because
I'd rather do it the way Netflix does it. I understand why people put it out like a TV show, right? Mm-hmm. Get you to keep coming back. Mm-hmm. But unlike TV, sometimes I forget what day is it. I don't even know what. I'll be honest. I don't know what day Secret Invasion is supposed to come out.
But then you get that big surprise. You get that big surprise when you turn the TV on and you go, "There's a new episode of Secret Invasion on." You're like, "Oh, no way!"
No, there's no surprise.
You like everything. You like everything on a schedule. You like to know. Yeah,
I forget, and then it's not on, and I forget, and then I don't watch it.
Your phone tells you, if there's a new episode or whatever. It should give you the notifications. Gotta set that up.
No, I tell the phone that don't talk to me. I get enough notifications from every other app that's on there. Sure. I get enough notifications. I get it. I get enough thread notifications now.
Hey man, it's the wave of the future. It's gonna take over Twitter.
People have been threading. Well, yeah. Facebook took over MySpace.
Uh-huh.
They may take over Twitter now, and they're just they're gonna, he may run for president. Mark Zuckerberg's gonna run for president. It should be a Simpsons episode because they correctly predicted the future 30 years ago.
I mean, yeah, they're definitely pretty prophetic.
No, but The Witcher's awesome. I don't want Henry Cavill to leave. I'm sorry. I want him to stay. He's not Superman anymore. I can't imagine anybody else being the Witcher, even though there are other Witchers in there, but he's the Witcher, right? He's like the man.
Sure.
But there are other Witchers there. This is what I don't want. I don't want Thor's brother to come in and replace Henry Cavill as like that character. I want him to come in and be another character.
Do you think that's what they're going to do? Or are they going to bring in... Yeah, I feel like he's going to be a drop-in replacement for Geralt or Geralt.
I don't want him.
His name.
I don't know. I want Geralt. I want him to be a new character. I don't want him to be Geralt. I want there to be a slimmer of hope that Henry Cavill will come back.
Sliver of hope.
Okay, I want to sliver.
You're mix and matching these kind of turns of phrase over here.
I want Bob's your uncle. I want Bob's your uncle hope.
Okay.
That he'll come back. I want Henry Cavill to come back.
Well, you know why he's leaving, right? Or why he left? I guess
creative differences.
Yeah. He didn't like that the show was diverging too much from the original source material, which is the books, not the video games, because the video games were based off the book series. Russian or Ukrainian or Polish, or I think it's a Polish, maybe Polish.
I think it's Polish.
Series. Yeah. Which sucks because he signed up because he loves the original source material so much, and he's like, yeah, I'm on board. So yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily. I could see him coming back as a cameo if Liam is going to be a new Witcher. If there are multiple Witchers, as you say, in the universe, which I wasn't sure about, it's not the Witcher. It's just Henry Cavill is playing the lead character, which is a Witcher, but he is like the Witcher. He's the guy.
What I don't want is for them to be like, all right, we're going to cast a spell on you and, make you younger. He jumped into the fountain of youth.
Yeah.
He came out looking different.
No, I think
with that.
I think with makeup and visual effects, they could make him look pretty close to Henry Cavill's original Geralt.
No,
I hope so, at least. I think that's what they're going to do. I think that's what they're going to do.
So Secret Invasion, been watching that. I'll be honest, I think it's 3 episodes in, right? Because it's a 6 episode.
That's it.
Not really a season. It's only 6. It's only going to be 6 episodes.
Right.
It's like a 6 episode arc.
Is it a one and done?
I think it's a one and done because they said it's just 6 episode arc. Like it's not season 1, season 2.
Yeah. Okay.
I know it's listed as season 1, but I think it's just like going to be like a short series.
Right. Huh. Okay.
The episode 1 was boring and it kind of sucked. It didn't make any sense to me. I don't know why Nick Fury has been gone technically. He's been gone for 6 years because he's just disenchanted with like fighting supervillains and the world coming to an end.
Where did he go? It didn't make any sense. Did he go off Earth?
He's been in a spaceship trying to find a homeworld for the Skrulls, and then the Skrulls suck. By the way, we saved them in Miss Marvel, and now they want to take over our planet.
Oh, it ties into that. Oh, right, because the Secret Invasion is the invasion of the Skrulls. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we did do some good work for the Skrulls. At least in the last Miss Marvel movie. Yeah.
They're trying to basically start a war between, Russia and the U.S., a nuclear war, so we can launch nuclear missiles and wipe each other out.
That's a little too real.
Survive. They're like a Big Mac. They could survive a nuclear war.
There you go. I like that analogy better than the one I was going to make about nuclear war and things that'll survive. So,
yeah. So,
okay.
Episode 2 and 3, excellent, awesome.
Okay.
No cameos. They don't want any supervillains. They want to keep it superheroes. They want to keep like more espionage.
Oh, well, that little Cold War style. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Even though War Machine's in it, but he's not in the armor yet. I think he will be later.
They got Rhodey back? Hey.
They got Rhodey back.
Haven't seen him in a while. All right.
Yeah, actually, when's the last episode? Yeah, I think it was Avengers. The last of Endgame. That was the last time we saw him.
Yeah. I mean, because everyone was in that, so yeah. And then before
he
that.
Didn't say anything. He didn't say anything.
No, that's right, because he was in the suit, I think. Before that, I want to say it was Iron Man 3, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, or maybe the first Avengers. I'm not too sure, but
Right.
interesting. Okay.
Dave, we have an awesome show this week. Coming up, we're going to talk about back in the 90s, Sega actually thought they were going to kill the PS1.
Ooh, I love this.
Like, that's crazy. I know. This
this.
is like a retro show. This should be Tuesday morning retro.
Throwback, baby.
Throwback.
Tuesday morning
throwback.
retro.
Tuesday morning.
Who plays games on a Tuesday morning?
And also, listen, Banjo Kazooie's in the news. All right, a former dev says, "No, a new game shouldn't be in the works." Not that it's not in the works, that it shouldn't be in the works. But we're going to talk about that later. Before we get to any of that, let's begin the show with R.I.P. to Friday the 13th, the game.
The day? Oh, the game. Okay.
The game. Did you know there was a TV show called Friday the 13th?
Yes.
I used to watch it when I was a kid.
I never saw it.
They purposely put it out thinking, because people thought that it was connected to the movies.
Yeah, because it's the name. It's the property, Friday the 13th, right? The horror franchise.
Yeah, but it had nothing to do with Jason or his mother or camp or anything like that. And it was a brother and a sister inherited like an antique shop because their uncle died. And they went into the vault. They thought all the stuff in the vault were more high value antiques. So they sold it. And then come to find out, those antiques were possessed or demonic, and they have to go back and solve these demonic issues, to get the artifact back and put it back in the vault. And that's what the whole series is about.
Feels kind of Twilight Zone-y. Yeah, it's not a bad premise, but it's certainly a bait and switch, because you're thinking slasher camp horror, right? With promiscuous boys and girls running around and getting all chopped up. That's what you want to see when you think Friday the 13th. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. Was it good at least?
I liked it, but it probably didn't age too well. It only lasted maybe 3 or 4 seasons. Maybe,
I'm surprised it lasted that long. I thought it was only one season.
I would have to look it up. I don't think it lasted more than maybe 2 seasons.
Pretty sure it was on the USA Network. Am I wrong?
No, I think it was on CBS when it came out. I think you probably saw reruns on it.
Oh,
I think maybe you saw reruns on the USA Network.
Oh, CBS. Okay, then maybe it got more money than I'm thinking. Like I figured it had cable TV budget, but if it's got,
not to go off on a little bit of a tangent. Remember Tales from the Dark Side?
Hell yeah, I do.
So
God, I think Snoop Dogg was in that, right?
Who?
Snoop Dogg?
No. There was a Tales from the Dark Side TV show. Not the movie.
Oh, I'm thinking of the movie. Oh, God.
No. There's a Tales of the Dark Side TV show.
This can't be good.
I used to watch it, it used to come on at midnight or super late, where I was sneaking to go watch it, right? I thought they were 1 million episodes. It only lasted 4 seasons. It was from 82 to 86, and I was watching reruns.
Pretty good. And if you have a full season, that's 26 episodes. If you have a half run, it's 13 episodes, typically. Yeah, wow. I don't know if I've seen Tales from the Dark Side at all, in any fashion. I think I was thinking of Tales from the Hood. I think that's the one with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, you were thinking of Tales from the Hood. By the way, Friday the 13th...
How could I get those mixed up?
Friday the 13th, the series lasted 3 seasons.
Okay.
Which makes sense. I knew it makes sense. It lasted 3 seasons. It started in 87 and ended in 90.
87. Wow, it was that old. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was in the mid 90s.
No. So rest in peace to the Friday the 13th movies, which will come back eventually in a reboot. Rest in peace to Friday the 13th.
They've already done. I think they've already done a reboot. They did one in 2009, I think. Yeah, it didn't do incredibly well.
Was it? It wasn't.
It's all right.
But in that vein, rest in peace to Friday the 13th, the game, because I think we talked about it a couple of months ago. The servers are going to go down in December.
Yeah.
Right? But right now, you can unlock absolutely everything for the PS4 version, at least. Right now, everything's unlocked. You can get everybody's level 150, you can't earn anything because everything's unlocked, and you can go in and play it. I definitely never got to play as Jason. I did play it when I first came out. I got the camper like 3 times, and I kept getting killed by Jason.
Well, you gotta really.
It's the luck of the draw. It's the luck of the draw to get Jason.
Well, it's a 20% chance, right? Because it's 4 campers versus Jason, right? It's that kind of 4v1, that asymmetrical gameplay, which we've seen in some other games, like Dead by Daylight is the game that was built without a license and then got licensed characters in there. So it's funny. They don't have Jason in there, I don't think, but they do have like Pyramid Head and I think Pinhead from Hellraiser maybe, and some other characters. But there's a lot of OC content.
What about Evolve too? Same thing, right?
Also, not as good. I think Dead by Daylight is I don't know if it's necessarily better than Friday the 13th, but it's a good representation of it. Evolve went away very quickly.
It did.
I wanted to like Evolve. It was cool. It was the dinosaur one, I think, right? And it was 4v1 or beasts.
Not necessarily dinosaurs, beasts. It was like
right. Yeah, and it seemed really cool.
But I got lucky enough to be like the Jason of like the Beast,
right?
And I got to go and chase people, so that was fun.
Yeah, that's
why I like Evolve better. They actually let me be the bad guy chasing everybody.
I bet you could now. I don't know what the player base is like. I don't know if there's a lot of people playing necessarily, but yeah, I mean it sucks. Anything that's based on a license is going to have this issue. That I think is wholly what's going on here. The company can't afford the license anymore. Their license agreement is running out, so they're like, "Hey, we'll give you everything. You can just play."
What if after that date they shut down and they say, "All right, we're back and we're called Nightmare Serial Killers or something"?
I mean, if they can,
honestly, it's just Jason's mask. The Jason character you have to change. If you could just change that,
no,
in the name of the park.
Well, the campers I think are all from the movie series, like most notably Tommy Jarvis, who was in I think 4, 5, and 6 maybe. He's a pretty big character, so I think you'd have to change all the campers and Jason and all the outfits. You could do it. It would lose a little bit, but the gameplay would still be there. But then maybe you'd probably have to swap out the sweater. There's a whole thing where you can do a ritual to bring Jason near if you put a sweater down and then turn it on fire and you make an alt. They would have to change a lot in there. They could do it.
They just switch it to Michael Myers.
Oh my God! Well, I mean that'd be awesome too. Yeah, you could play as Jamie Lee Curtis.
We got a new Mortal Kombat 1 trailer, and it revealed more cameo players. We got Sector, Cyrax, Frost, and Scorpion, and then they also revealed Smoke and Rain. And it looks like Rain.
All right.
Looks like Rain is going to be part of the Brotherhood with Scorpion and Sub-Zero, right? It looks like they're in the same clan at least. I thought all of them. Back in the day when we played, when Mortal Kombat was first big, it was all a color swap out.
Yeah,
so I thought
swaps.
they were all part of the same clan. They were all part of this.
Yeah, it's not surprising, right? If you're wearing the same garb as the other dude, and it's he's just the blue variant of whatever clan they're in. But no, I think Sub-Zero was the Lin Kui clan. I think they're all from the Outworld. Scorpion's definitely from the Outworld. I forget what clan Scorpion was from, but yeah, now they're all going to be connected and whatnot. They're kind of.
Or with that Scorpion as the bad guy, and they made him sort of the good guy with Sub-Zero as the bad guy, killing his family, and
right.
and Scorpion coming back from hell to avenge his family,
right?
That. I always thought that was weird that Sub-Zero was the bad guy. I always thought he would be the good guy, and the guy from hell is the bad guy.
You would think, yeah, you would think. That's awesome about the new fighters. I like that. I like that Rain and Smoke are in here. Rain is kind of low key great. He doesn't appear in a lot of these, especially a lot of the newer ones. I can remember him from.
I remember back in the day where he was just a red herring in 3?
Mortal Kombat 3? Yeah.
And then they actually put him in the game in Ultimate?
Trilogy, I think. MK Trilogy, yeah. Yeah. I liked him a lot. I thought he had some cool powers with the, the thunder and lightning and all that. He's obviously like, elemental based in that way, which is super cool. He's got that nice kind of purple garb going on. Obviously, they're going to switch him up a little bit for this new one and really kind of flesh out his design. Cool to see. Smoke is cool too. I think it's regular smoke, not cyber smoke, which is cool. I like both variants. Hopefully Sector and Cyrax are playable because, I mean, come on now.
Yeah, no.
I love them. They're awesome.
All right, Dave. This is a part of the show that I love. As we always try to start the show, but epically fail. Mm-hmm. What have you been playing?
It's my favorite part of the show, Dan. Come on now. I am obviously still playing Tears of the Kingdom. We should just say that for the rest of eternity, or until we beat it and get bored of it, which is going to be for the rest of eternity, I think. Making my way downtown. Yeah, I'm playing a piano on the back of a truck.
Okay, scary movie.
No, not a. Oh, I guess they did riff that.
They're like a parody and scary movie. Yeah.
To take it back to the front of the 13th. Yeah.
Anybody who was born in the 2000s have no idea what we're talking about. By the way.
Yeah, right. I don't really think those scary movies have stood the test of time. Although they were the best of the movies.
The first two
series.
The first two stand the test of time. Even the third one, kind of. It was
the third one had Leslie Nielsen, I think. So it was
the third one was still even though they didn't have the Wayans brothers. The third one was still good. Everything else sucked.
Yeah, they got pushed out. But yeah, no. Tears of the Kingdom still going strong. Still a lot left to do. I feel like I'm kind of winding down a little bit. I may put it down for a little bit and let it marinate, let it sit, let some other games take shine. Because I could just play this game for the rest of the year and still not feel like I'm making progress. Not that that's a bad thing, or I'm saying that in a bad way. There's just a lot to do. And every time you do one thing, you find 7 other things that you've now unlocked that you can do and go. And you upgrade your character. You can get over this mountain, or you can glide to this certain part of the underworld, or whatever it is. There's just so much going on. So I think it's about time I put it down a little bit, or at least give some other games some shine, like Diablo 4.
Ooh. Picked it up?
Baby.
What system?
Yes.
What system?
PC, of course. Come on now.
Oh, you have PC.
Oh, okay. Of course. I mean, that's where it all began. Back in 96, 97. Came out on the PC, the first one. Don't think it ever... Oh, actually, no. It did. It came to PlayStation 1. And it's worth a decent amount of money if you were looking to get it. Oh, very nice. I don't know if it was a good experience, because it was not made for console. The newer ones are. Diablo 3 was a great experience on console. Diablo 4 is a good experience on console. Because they designed it from the ground up to be that way. But I like the mouse and keyboard. I think that's super cool with it. I'm loving this game. I went with the Druid build. And I'm having a good time. Turning into shape-shifting into werewolves and bears. And
I'm a barbarian. That's all I know.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Comes in and pounds you to death.
We're gonna have to play it. We're gonna have to play a little bit, and we can do that very easily because Diablo has very cleverly designed a scaling system. So no matter what level you're at, no matter what level I'm at, we can play together, and we won't have any issues with the enemies that we're fighting.
Wait. How does that work? How does it work? Like if I'm level 30 and you're level 15. Mm-hmm. Are the enemies like? Are we going to be?
It's magic. I mean, it's literally behind the scenes magic. Basically,
so okay.
Well, go. Yeah, basically
explaining. I wanted to know how it worked.
Well, basically, we both join the game into the world. You invite me, or I invite you. We come into. You come into my instance, or I come into your instance, and when we go out to fight the enemies, we're on the battlefield together, fighting the same enemies. And it will scale accordingly. So let's say it's a 30-15 split. You're 30, I'm 15. So the enemies will probably do like half of their normal damage, or 15 times less, or whatever the percentage is, so that when it hits me at the same proportional rate that it would hit you. So if you have like 200 hit points, and it would normally do like, I don't know, like 10 damage, maybe it only hits me for like 3 or 4. So it still feels like the same amount of damage proportionally, but it's not unfair for me, right? Because I would get clobbered if I'm going up against level 30 enemies. It just kind of wouldn't work. So they kind of balance it out that way behind the scenes. They either dividing or multiplying the enemy strength and hit points and all that to make it work. And I guess the damage output that we see for each other also gets scaled, because it would look kind of weird if they're doing 100 damage to you and only doing 5 damage to me. It would be weird. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it doesn't show the damage for me. Maybe it just shows the damage for you. But I don't know. They kind of make it work.
We're going to try it out. Test it out.
For sure, because they have the crossplay, and it's supposed to be very easy to do. So I'm very excited for that. But, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What have you been playing, Dan?
So I'm still chugging along at Final Fantasy 16 on my PS5. I'm 33 hours in, and every time I have this big set piece, I call my Megazord, the icon, whatever you're gonna call it. I keep calling it Mega because I feel like I'm morphing. Now I gotta call it. I gotta call it Megazord.
I mean, it feels like that, right? It comes down from the heavens. Yeah.
It's like I beat him. And then all of a sudden he turns into a big. It's like he got the Rita wand and he, make my monster grow, and he grows into the big monster. And now I got to call him a Megazord to get big too.
Okay. Right.
And every time I get to like that emotional part, and it's like I'm beating the guy, it's like, no, it's not it. It's not over. There's still more. There's still more. And honestly, I think this game is like never ending. So I think every time there's the bad guy that they put as the bad guy, like this is like the big bad guy, I beat him, and it's like, no, it's not over yet. And I'm like,
yeah.
So I know there's an underlying bad guy, which I'm not gonna say because
you're already saying too much. You're already saying too much.
No. There's another bad guy that you do see.
Say no more.
You do see in a
say
demo.
No more. Say no more. Okay.
All right. So
okay.
I've been chugging away at that, loving that. And I did get back into Tears of the Kingdom on a Switch.
Nice. Let's go.
Every day I do my amiibo to get my drops, even if I'm not playing.
You got to do it.
Do it every day. I have like 1 million meats, 1 million different fish, mushrooms, fruit. Right?
Yeah, might as well.
I went to Rito Village. Right, that was the one that was covered in snow.
Yep, that's in the Hebrew Mountains.
Didn't have any. I was stuck in the cabin. I didn't have enough ingredients to get the recipes to keep warm. So you know what? Like a G, I just went in and I kept eating meat and fruit and powered through.
Nice.
Got to the dungeon, beat the bad guy, and then I went off to the mountains and I beat that bad guy. Now I got 3 spirits with me, baby. I got one more to go. I gotta go to the desert.
Oh, the desert's the toughest one. Godspeed.
Really? Okay.
They have a terrible problem. Getting around is a nightmare. Not to say it wasn't fun to like figure it out, but it was the most difficult for me. There's a multi-step process. The boss was cool. The temple was cool. Like, it's kind of nice. One thing I'll say is stock up on the items that cool you down, because it is hot as F out there. And you need it, and you don't necessarily get the gear that automatically like cools you down right away. You can get one of them. You can get one piece pretty early on, but the other 2 are very hard to get, and it takes a while to unlock that part.
I'm just gonna say I'm gonna be like a G. I did it in the cold. I'll do it in the heat. I got like 200 pieces of meat and fish. I just keep eating and power my way through. As long as I know where I'm going, I'm not gonna get lost. I gotta either watch a walkthrough to say go here. As long as I can go there, then I know what to do. Then I'll do it. Yeah,
it took me a long while to figure it out. I didn't use any hints for it, but that's not a bad idea to kind of point you in the direction, because well, you'll see when you get there. Yeah, it's pretty wild. But they got a lot of cool stuff out there. Yeah.
So, well, what I usually do is I go to the I find a tower, unlock the tower, go back to home base, rest, find a shrine somewhere, get my, try to get my heart's stamina up, and then I go back to the tower. That's how I did it in Rito Village. I got to the tower, and I said, that's the village I need to go to. I found a couple of shrines. I go back to home base, get rest, get my hearts back up, come back, right? And that's what I'll just do. I'll just keep finding shrines all around, so I can keep just, I could just keep transporting back around the area, and that's the way to do it. That's the only way I knew how to do it.
Yeah. Did you get the Hold on, but before we exit, did you get the personal like warp point thing that you can like drop on the ground anywhere?
I did not know that even existed.
Oh, Dan. You get 3 of them at a time that you can have active. And it's literally just like your own personal shrine, because you can just warp to wherever you were at, and you can just go back there as much as you want, as long as the portal is still active.
So like a month ago, I don't know if we did this on the show. I know I told you I told off mics, but on the show, I don't know if I told you on the show, so I'll say it on the show. When I first got to the first dungeon, I went to the water. I did the water world first. I forgot the name of the village because you didn't get there yet.
The Lanairu?
Because you didn't get there yet. I got to the bad guy. I got to the dungeon boss, and I had no weapons.
Yeah, it's tough.
He needed just 2 or 3 hits, right? And it'd be done. I had to do that boss all over again. Yeah, because I had no weapons. I had no weapons.
We did talk about it on the show. I remember you.
I had no weapons.
You made it a gamer grief. Yeah. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. But you did it though.
I couldn't do a drop. Well, I had no choice. I couldn't do a drop with Amiibo. I had to do the boss. I had to do a boss fight. I just had to let him kill me and do it all over again. It was so annoying. But all right, I will say the most interesting boss would be the one in Rito Village, the air boss.
Agreed. Yeah, he's my favorite too. Yeah. That's good stuff.
Not too hard either. It's not too hard either. All right. So why don't we take a break? When we come back, we get into top gaming news of last week. And we're back. Dave, before we get into the top gaming news of last week, I got a surprise for you.
Oh, shoot. I love surprises.
It's back, baby.
There it is. Oh, we got to do it. What's in Dan's cup? Come on, fans.
Spider-Man Cup is back. Spider-Man Cup is back.
You know the rule. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Threads. Let us know what's in Dan's cup, and you may win a prize.
Hit me with a thread. Show me. I don't even know how to say that.
There you go. Yeah, it's a thread. It's a conversation thread. It makes sense. I think that's what it is. Okay.
So this is a throwback show. This is like Tuesday Morning Retro. We should just rename this to Tuesday Morning Retro. That's the name of the show because everything is retro.
We taking it old school?
In the show.
All right.
Taking it old school. And let's go back, really old school, back to the mid 90s.
Oh yeah.
Before it was Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, it used to be Nintendo, PlayStation, and Sega.
Oh my God, right? The big three at the time.
272-page PDF classified documents from Sega of America were posted online. There were a lot of emails from 1996, and they thought they were going to kill the Saturn was going to kill the PlayStation. And this is a direct quote in one of the emails.
Was this a leak? Was this a leak?
This was a leak.
Oh, it was a leak.
I said this was a leak.
Okay.
These are classified documents that were leaked.
Okay.
And it is a direct quote. We're killing Sony. In every store, Saturn hardware is selling out, and there's stacks of PlayStations everywhere.
Yep.
Right? And they were referencing Japan at the time.
Right.
And they thought they would do the same in North America.
They were doing very well in Japan. I believe that quote is attributed to a one Tom Kalinske, who was like the genius. He was brought in from, I think, Mattel to work on the Sega video game line. He was the one who said, get rid of this Altered Beast, put Sonic as the pack-in title, which was amazing. That was the right thing to do. He was the one who said, do not put out the 32X. It'll be in direct competition with the Saturn and confuse fans. He was right about that. And I guess he was spending a lot of time in Japan, and he was like, well, we're doing so well over here, And they did. They had a little bit of a jump start on Sony. They were a known quantity. They had at least 2 or 3 consoles, the Mark I, the Mark III, or known as the Master System here, the Genesis at the time, which was highly successful, and I guess the add-on, the 30, no, not the 32X, the Sega CD. So I mean, it's not too far to see that like. Or,
Sega CD was not a success.
Oh no, Sega CD was terrible. But I'm just saying they had those under their belt at least. They had time in the industry, right? And looking at how well they were doing in Japan, it wouldn't be a far reach to say we're probably going to do well in the States as well, you know?
I would doubt that because everything at the time was going 3D. And I remember everything was, the transition from 2D to 3D in the Saturn. And I love the Saturn. I defend it, right? I'm a Saturn apologist. I call it one of the most underrated consoles of all time, if not the underrated console, because it is a glorified 2D machine.
Very much.
2.5D machine.
They went hard on 2D for one more generation than they should have, just like Nintendo went hard on the cartridge before they switched over. And that's kind of what killed, I think, both those consoles. Or, I mean, I would say the N64, very overrated console.
So we had the Sega CD one Christmas. We had the 32X the next Christmas. And then they put out the Saturn. So it's like they put out new hardware every single year for like 3 years. And that really...
Kind of,
Imagine if they didn't put out the Sega CD and the 32X. And we had the handful of good games that were on both. Right,
yeah.
and even some of the VMAs that were okay. Right,
VMAs?
So the FMV.
The full motion video game. I wouldn't say the full motion video games are that great.
Yeah. Well, some of them were. I mean, look, Night Trap, like those games like that were like.
Night Trap is iconic, right? But not for its gameplay.
Iconic, but you put those games on the Saturn. You put those libraries on the Saturn to boost the Saturn library, right? Like the Knuckles game that was the Sonic game for the 3DX.
The Knuckles game was very good on the 32X.
Very good. That could have been the Sonic game we never got.
Well,
Saturn to tie us over.
Well, now you're looking at a 7-year gap between the Genesis and the Sega Saturn. You got to put something out in the middle there, I think.
I don't think
between those two, you got to put at least one console out. I don't think the Sega CD was. I agree, the Sega CD was also not great. Lots of
if anything, put out the 32X. If anything, put out the 32X to boost the cartridges.
I would have. Yeah, I would have. It would have been better to just have the 32X in the CD mid '90s. Yeah, in the early to mid '90s, as like an upgrade to the Genesis. You don't go the FMV route, and then you just have the Saturn. So if the 32X came out in like 93, and then like 3 years later, or a couple years later, maybe the 32X comes out in 92, maybe that would be a little bit better. And then you have like at least a 2-year gap before your next system comes out. Because the 32X and the Saturn were like almost right around the same time. They may have even came out the same year. And that confuses people. And then they're like, well, which one do I get? I don't know.
No. Sega CD. No. So the Sega CD I think was 93. 32X came out in Christmas of 94.
Well, no. I'm saying like.
And then Saturn came out holiday of 95. So it was like 6 months between the 32X and the Saturn.
Well, right. But I'm saying like in the ideal world, you would spread out you wouldn't do the Sega CD. You would do the 32X earlier so that you have at least a year or two at a minimum in between those consoles. And then fans don't feel like they're burned, and they at least get something that's supported for a couple years, because the 32X was 40 games. That was it. And it came and went within a year, and no one even talks about it to this day.
That's because the Saturn came out 6 months later.
I know. It was a terrible move. And Tom Kalinske fought tooth and nail to say, don't do this, right? So the Saturn was doing well in Japan, and they're like, no, you can't put this 32X out. No.
Well, to be fair, Nintendo did the same thing, right? Because the Ultra 64, that's what the N64 was called prior to being called N64, it got delayed a year, and they needed a stopgap. They wanted to put something out for that holiday season, and they rushed the Virtual Boy out, right? And that ended as a disaster for Nintendo as well. Where the Virtual Boy, if you look at the original specs for Virtual Boy, I'm not saying it would have been this greatest VR headset, known to man or anything, but it would have been better than what we got. right?
And it would have been, well, I think the reason they didn't go that route is because they wanted to hit a price point.
They wanted to hit a price point.
Yeah.
But if they had a little bit more time and didn't rush it out, if it would have came out maybe like another 2-3 years later, they could have made it work a little bit better than they did, than how it actually happened.
Well, for sure.
If you look at the specs, they actually had color in the original specs for the Virtual Boy. They reduced the color to make it cheaper. They stuck with red and black.
And I think,
by the way, red and black.
Oh, there you go. I think putting the Virtual Boy out, like, it wasn't the N64. I don't think had anything to do with it, because they're two very different systems, right? One is technically a portable handheld system that's got this 3D capability that nobody else can do, and one is a home console with this weird controller.
They have nothing to do with each other as far as competition, but they do have everything to do with each other because the N64 got delayed, so Nintendo wanted something out during the holidays, so they rushed in that particular scenario, we got to have something for Christmas. What are the kids going to put on? What is the parent going to put underneath the tree for the kid? Oh, we can put out this Virtual Boy. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I don't know if it would have done gangbusters even if it came out a couple years later, but it would have been a much better product, and it wouldn't be one of the worst consoles ever, or handhelds ever, or whatever you want to classify it as. Because it's literally like bottom tier. It's bottom 5. I would put it in a handheld console.
Okay, well, it's definitely bottom 5 handheld consoles.
No, I would put it at home console because you can't exactly just walk around with it.
You definitely can't walk around it. You can barely use it in its like pedestal form. It's way too clunky. Ugh.
Way too clunky. All right. Let's switch gears and talk about Banjo Kazooie. Right? Something that was a Nintendo product for the N64 or Ultra 64. I still like to call it Ultra 64. That just sounds better to me. Ultra 64.
You and both the Cruisin' USA and Killer Instinct had the Ultra 64 logo, I think. Killer Instinct definitely had the Ultra 64 logo.
Nintendo likes like, Super Nintendo, right? The Ultra 64, like they just love those like big names.
Yeah,
That's why I think the next system is going to be called the Super Switch.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I would be okay with that. But
speaking of VGC, former Banjo Kazooie composer doesn't think another game doesn't think another game will be made. He thinks it's unlikely because it's just nobody wants it. There's no audience. He doesn't think there's an audience for it.
I believe this is the GOAT, Grant Kirkhope. Did the GoldenEye music, did a lot of the crazy rare stuff. Him and David Wise they kind of go blow for blow. It's interesting for him to say that. He, I think he may still be working for Rare. I'm not too sure, but
no, I don't think he works for
Not anymore? No, maybe not. No. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I feel like if you put out a proper Banjo-Kazooie game and you do it right, give it the time, and you get, even if you can't get the original devs on board, you get a game that feels like the originals, that has that art style, that has that humor, that has that style of music, because that's what all the fans of the original stuff want, right? And that's what Nuts and Bolts, I think, tried to be, which was the third one in the series, which did very poorly. That was, I think, 2011 was the last one for that. But, Banjo's in Smash, right? So we have some renewed enthusiasm for the character and the brand. I don't see why not. Give a small team from Rare, give them some funding, let them kind of do their own thing for a couple years. You get a great 3D platformer.
I've switched gears or opinions on this topic. I thought he was absolutely right. I said nobody wants a new Banjo game. Yeah, nostalgia purposes, they want to play him in Smash Brothers, but nobody actually wants a new Banjo game.
Oh,
but you persuaded me. You persuaded me to say, you know what, Microsoft at all the studios that they've acquired, right? And they have a lot of studios, and they are the RPG king, right? Of they Western RPGs. They're going to have like all of them exclusive.
Oh,
to
well,
them.
yeah, the action RPGs for sure. Yeah.
They need diversity in their portfolio for games, all right? They need something different. And I'm not saying you'll have a AAA Banjo experience, but you can make a double A or a single A, platformer with Banjo in it.
Sure.
That makes sense. I could see that.
Here's what you do, right? Because I know Microsoft owns them, but it would be also, and we'll get into some stuff. We'll get into some stuff maybe like a little bit later, but stick it to Sony and put it out on the Switch. Don't put it out on PlayStation. All right? And it's the perfect game for the Switch. It's very cutesy. It falls in line with kind of the Nintendo aesthetic or whatever it is, right? It was born on the N64. Put it out on that system. Put it out on your system. Put it out on Game Pass day one, just like Sea of Thieves, right? The last game that Rare did. Well, people will buy it. I would say it's 100%. Nothing. One, it would have nothing to do with Sony because it would be a nostalgia play to put a platformer on the Switch since that's where it was originally from. It was originally from the Nintendo console. Exactly. But honestly, the more I think about it, the more I think they wouldn't do that. Why?
I think they would. Game
Microsoft
Pass
still makes money.
I think they would just do.
Arguably, they make more money.
I think they would just do Game Pass, keep it exclusive on Games Pass because that's the thing that they want to bolster. And if it's popular, they definitely would want to keep it on Games Pass. I think if it was, if the I don't know if they would put out a physical, but if they let's just say if sales weren't good or player base wasn't good to boost it, they would put it out on the Switch or whatever the Nintendo console.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying they do it like day and date with the Xbox version. Maybe you wait a couple months or a year, and then at one
definitely
of the next,
would be a year. It definitely would be a year.
And at one of their next events or whatever, then they're like, "Hey, we got one more thing," and at the next Nintendo Direct or whatever, Banjo Kazooie's coming to Nintendo, right? Because it's not going to be on the Microsoft stage. They can't do that, but they can do it on the Nintendo Direct or whatever. Yeah.
Again,
I think
if it's popular, I don't think they would do it. I think they would stay the course and keep it on Games Pass and maybe update it with new courses and stuff.
Yeah.
Keep people on Games Pass.
Yeah.
But if it's not doing so well to boost it, I think they would put it on. I think they would put it on the whatever the Nintendo console is. Obviously, probably unless they're in the works, it wouldn't be on the Switch.
I think the other thing too to note is that it's the right time because all the kids that grew up on the N64 are now in their 30s, right? And it always happens. You always look back on the systems that you grew up with. We grew up with the Nintendo and the Atari to some extent, but the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo were kind of our consoles in our generation. So we look fondly back on all that stuff, and that already had that rise and crest and fall. The N64 is now in vogue, and all those kids are like, yes, bring back all the games from my youth, right? So you get that too as a push forward.
If the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard goes through, Microsoft will own Banjo Kazooie, Crash Bandicoot, and Spiral the Dragon.
Yeah.
The mid to late 90 mascots of the time
they will own. The goats.
All right.
That's right.
So they will own that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about shift gears to Fable. A game that is infamous in Dave's mind, but
it's infamous in both our minds. Well, it's okay. No,
it's two different reasons. It's infamous in both our minds for two different reasons.
I guess it's famous in your eyes. It's infamous in my eyes. Oh.
There you go. Well, the guy behind it, Peter Molyneux, he's back. He's back with his new with the studio 22 Cans, and he's quoted to saying his next project will be similar to Fable and Black and White. In the Black and White games, which I didn't even know there was a sequel to Black and White. I thought it was
Black and White 2 were the last good things that Peter Molyneux did, and that's it. I think Fable was trash. I don't think his involvement in Fable led to anything good. I think he was a detriment. He was very much the face and
he hyped it up,
the media mouthpiece. Well, he made a lot of promises and he couldn't deliver on them, and that was a big failure point. Not to mention there were fundamental issues with the original Fable, which I won't go into again, but very much like that's not how you do game design. Fable 2 apparently better, but I even fell off after the first one, so whatever. And his involvement with at the time Project Natal, which became the Kinect, there was this big thing that he was like trying to do, and that was a whole cloud of smoke. He lied about a ton of stuff, and he was doing this thing, and it never materialized into anything good. So, and the thing that he most recently did was basically an NFT rug pull. There's this thing called Legacy, which you could like go on in this game world and buy like virtual property or whatever. And some of them were, or I guess your property was represented by an NFT or whatever, but it had zero utility and it's got zero value, almost zero value at the time. It's definitely got zero value now. So, not surprising that he was involved with that stuff and that kind of fell on its face. So, I don't know. Maybe his next thing could be cool, but I have just like fans in the mid-90s of the Saturn, I have zero confidence in Peter Molyneux and his Studio 22 cans for his new game. Not about
Well,
it.
you know what? You know, one good thing is he's not really hyping it up.
I don't really think he has a platform to do so.
Which is the whole reason why you hate him, because he hyped up the game and it wasn't what it didn't come out to be what he said it was going to be. So
Yeah, very much not a fan of that.
Well, another person I'm disappointed in and not a fan of, but I did like him before, but this is kind of crappy because he's a criminal, is Yuji Naka, one of the co-creators of Sonic the Hedgehog. He was convicted of insider trading. He was arrested twice last year. Both were under charge of insider trading during a time when he worked at Square Enix. I didn't even realize he worked at Square Enix.
He did Balan Wonderworld.
Balan Wonderworld? I totally forgot, which wasn't a great game. I tried it. I gave it a good college try.
It's not surprising that you forgot about it, because I love Yuji Naka. He is a legend in his own right, but his more recent work, not so great. Balan Wonderworld, oof, yeah.
Well, of course, according to records, he became aware of a new Dragon Quest mobile game that was in development. I think it was Dragon Quest Tactics, and he purchased shares of the developer before the game was announced.
Yep.
With the view of selling them later when the studio shared its value increased. So,
yep,
he got convicted.
Yep. That is the exact definition of insider trading. It's when you have privileged information that the public doesn't know about, that no one would know about because it's an insider, a trade secret, that here's what we're doing. And you can kind of predict the market a little bit based on that. Dragon Quest has a very high value, especially in Japan, when you're putting out this product that, you can, I'm sure we got some hands-on time with it and said, oh, this is going to be big. I'm going to buy when the share is low. When they end up putting the game out, it does well, and then the shares go up, and then you sell. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't invest in your own company like that.
So, well, he, instead of going to jail, he's a 1.2. He faces a $1.2 million fine and a suspended prison sentence. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with him. But I mean, come on. I saw memes online of Sonic in handcuffs. I mean, that's kind of just. That kind of sucks.
Listen. Is it the worst crime in the entire world? No. But a crime is a crime. And, I mean, arguably it kind of hurts a lot more because you're basically taking money that any normal person wouldn't be able to necessarily bet on Square Enix at that particular time and be able to make all that money out of that. So... And him, as well as Martha Stewart and Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. Listen, they all committed insider trading. They all did the illegal thing. I feel like they have to do the time. I don't want to be that harsh on the man. I like Yuji Naka, but I'm sorry.
All right. Well, there it is. There it is for my childhood. Sonic in handcuffs. But all right, we're going to end on a somber note, semi-somber note. There is a silver lining to this, or a Bob's your uncle lining to bring everything.
No, again, no.
Bob's your uncle. Bob's your uncle lining.
No, you're using these phrases incorrectly, Dan.
No. I gotta nip it in the butt. I gotta nip it in the butt.
Isn't it Bud? B-U-D?
It is. It is. I'm purposely using the wrong
You're triggering me, Dan.
All right.
I don't like it.
The developers of the Lord of the Ring Golems game are officially shutting down. The studio technically isn't shutting down, but they're not going to make any more video games. And the 25 employees that will be affected by the shutdown will not be fired. They'll be transferred to other departments to do other jobs. So that is the silver lining. At least they're not losing their jobs.
I would say they would be laid off. I don't know if you can necessarily fire a developer working on the game that didn't do well, unless there was some sort of dereliction of duty. I don't know.
Well, they're not being laid off either.
Right. Which is good.
Because no one's losing their job. That's the silver lining. That's the Bob's your uncle lining. That's the nip it in the butt lining right there.
Yeah.
That's the purple line.
And hey, look, good on the company for recognizing, hey, maybe we're not so great at making video games. Because I looked up this developer, Daedalic Entertainment, and I looked at some of the stuff they did. The only thing of note that I even recognized was the Deponia series, which I've never played, but that name is familiar, and they made a couple of the Deponia games. They were a German company, I think, definitely European. I think they're German. They've been around since 2008. They're now getting out of the games industry in 2023, so they had a good 15-year run making games and all that, and they're not necessarily going anywhere. They're just pivoting their business strategy to something else. So
yeah,
that's okay. Sad because, man, I really wanted to like the Gollum game.
I like the idea of the Gollum game. The execution was terrible. I mean, I like the whole. I mean, we get all these Lord of the Ring games where it's epic battles, like Final Fantasy 16, right? Like
sure.
It's in that medieval setting. It reminds me of like Lord of the Rings.
Sure, yeah. There's a ton of like big epic battles against the the orcs and the humans and the elves, and everyone's just clashing.
This is more like a stealth game, right? Like you're a golem in like a jail and you're trying to escape, but it kind of sucks when you're trying to be stealth and you can't be, and then you're trying to steal something. I know there was I was watching a walkthrough where the guy was trying to steal the keys, and the guard kept turning around. And it's like, well, then you can't be stealth if it doesn't work.
One of the main mechanics of the game is legit broken. Yeah. It's not good.
And then you can't run away.
Right. You can't run away and hide. Another main mechanic is broken. The graphics didn't look that great. Had a lot of bugs. Legit. Yeah. And, to be fair, I think they could have fixed them in the way that like a No Man's Sky and a Cyberpunk got fixed via patches. I don't necessarily think the bones were bad. There's just a lot of bugs that were like kind of game breaking. I feel like they could have turned it into like at least like a B, maybe like a C+ game that could have made some numbers, but.
Well, aren't we getting like a Lord of the Rings MMO? Didn't Amazon like announce something?
Well, I mean, we have had a Lord of the Rings MMO. There may be a new one that vaguely sounds familiar that they're doing something else because they do have that series, right? The Lord of the Rings series
Amazon owns
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon owns the series. Yeah,
right.
They own the rights to that.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing something. I forget what the name of it is or if it's an actual thing, but I think you may be right. I think they're kind of doing something with it, which Lord of the Rings is eternal. They're always going to make new games for it, so somebody will definitely come up and make that happen.
Okay. All right, that's it for the news. You got any plans this week?
It's a very good question, Dan. Got to level up my character in Diablo. I think that's my plans.
Wow.
I don't know what else to do. I mean, I have this call to duty to get in the game and beat back the invading horde on the land of Sanctuary. I think it's still called Sanctuary. It's very good.
I only played like maybe 6 hours.
Okay.
Even 7 hours.
Okay.
So you could probably surpass my level pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, like there's like still a lot of stuff. You haven't unlocked the jewelry yet. You haven't unlocked your specific aspect for your character. There's a lot of stuff like as you go on you get more and more things to interact with. You can like craft all these different jewels and then put them in different weapons that have sockets, which is super cool. You can get all these cool powers with it. And yeah, it's a lot of good stuff.
I just want to finish Final Fantasy 16.
I feel you. I want to start Final Fantasy 16. That's probably the next game I'm going to pick up, for sure, because you're having a great time with it, and I know you
it's
like.
Right there with Zelda. It's
yeah,
right there with Zelda.
Yeah, I know you like the 7 remake. You know, I know you like the kind of more actiony style thing, and you're really digging the story. You're big into the narrative, which is part of the reason I love Final Fantasy, because they have very good narratives, they have very good stories. So I think I got to do it, Dan. I think I got to pick it up. So okay,
all right, highly recommended.
Okay, all right. Well, on that note, that is episode 368 in the books, folks. And we want to thank you guys for listening to the show, for liking, commenting, and doing all the good stuff that you guys do. If you want to interact with us, and we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads at Rated G for Gamers. So please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.